Been a few weeks, and for that I apologize. I'm Daniel Bautz, and you've found the frequency of the dark. So the last few weeks have been challenging, to say the least. I was in the lead up to my next novel, the release, The Hounds of Heaven, and much requested and anticipated follow-up to my debut novel, Life is in the Blood. And wouldn't you know it, my computer had decided to choose death. So, I resurrected my computer and hard drive, and in a way, my computer is now a vampire. Kind of. But what that did, that got me thinking. Why the hell do I do this? It's a question that doesn't come with easy answers, and I suppose there are some out there that would like me not to tell my stories. In fact, I've run into a few of those right here on this platform with this show. And there's some folks out there who I've met in person that have issues with the subject matter or whatnot of my books. You know what? I'm okay with that. They can have their opinions and their viewpoints. These are my stories. And if you feel that way, my stories aren't for you. But on the flip side, I have people that love what I do. And in a nutshell, that's writing, that's creativity, and that's storytelling. Why the hell I do this is basically because I want to tell stories that move people. Stories that inspire them to want to tell stories. Just like what reading stories in my youth did for me. And for the storytellers out there wondering if they should bother, this is your sign. Get out there and tell your story. So just like my new computer, which is here on the floor next to me, I'm built from parts that came from different places. And when I boot up, well, I have those parts to build with. We call it a lot of things influence, inspiration, and whatever. What it boils down to is this. You are the only one that can tell a story like you. Do not worry about being original. Someone, somewhere, has used every single aspect of your story in some capacity. Doesn't matter what plots you come up with, characters you come up with, twists, turns, story beats, whatever. That's not what makes your story unique. And that's what happens when you funnel all those parts through you. That's where the originality comes from. So just like you, readers have a bunch of used parts. When a reader opens your book, they aren't entering a neutral space. They bring their own prior exposure, their own trauma, their own dead hardware to what they're reading. They may, narcissistically, assume that you share the same experience and influence. And on the inverse, the writer sometimes makes the assumption that the reader will carry the same knowledge and experience as the writer. That's called the curse of knowledge. But what it boils down to is your prose is the signal, and their brain is the receiver. If their receiver is damaged, your signal distorts. You aren't responsible for their broken slots, but you are responsible making sure that you have a signal strong enough to pierce the static. Resurrection is a violent act. Whether it's Cain drinking from a cup of stolen life or me forging a new motherboard to recognize an old soul processor that comes from another computer, the result's the same. Something has to give. You can't recreate life without creating a deficit somewhere else. In your stories, you shouldn't shy away from that deficit. If your protagonist survives death, man, they shouldn't be the same afterwards. They should be changed. Or maybe not. Here's some key takeaways from today's Frequency of the Dark. Systems are finite. Every creative endeavor, just like hardware, has a shelf life and potential points of failure, and all of it requires energy, and that all comes from you. Another thing is the reader's receiver. Be aware you are not writing for a blank slate. You're writing for a receiver that's already scarred by its own history. And the cost of that revival is that resurrection is never free. Whether in horror fiction or system maintenance, there's always a deficit to be paid. So just be aware that both you, the writer, and the reader have a past. And you're each going to bring that to the table in this exchange. So be prepared for that. Some people are going to say, well, I saw this somewhere else and this isn't original. You ripped this off, you ripped that off. And maybe you didn't, but that's how the readers are going to see it. And that's okay. Again, you just have to allow for that. You shouldn't allow it to stop you from telling your story. So it's been 2 weeks and I survived the ordeal of the dead computer. I now have my vampire computer here, undead, so to speak. And the Hounds of Heaven, it's out there. It made it out there. And I couldn't be prouder of that story in that book. Even if I couldn't give it that final push out the door that I wanted, I've got to be okay with it because I'm still blessed to have it out there. I'll still support it. I'll still make sure people know about it. I'll still be out there selling it at shows and stuff. And I'm pretty confident people will read it. Some will love it. Some will hate it. And hopefully not a whole lot are meh, because I'd rather them love or hate it. But the story got told. And the Black Cathedral Covenant, it's finally seeing a space outside of my head again after living inside of it since the 1980s. Yeah, I'm that old. Well, you made it all the way to the end, and thanks for that. Anyway, if you found something you could take with you from this, hit the like, comment, and let me know. Maybe subscribe, and I'll see you in the dark on the next frequency.